Welcome to Ranger Stories. My name is Tennyson E. Stead. I am the creator of Jump Rangers. And this is the show where I read things that I'm writing in the Jump Rangers universe and probably edit and discuss them for your viewing pleasure. Today we're reading Jump Rangers, A Game Called Conquest, Chapter 13. If you'd like to catch up on previous episodes of Ranger Stories, you can find those episodes on our YouTube channel at youtube.com/JumpRangers. Let's begin. Let me explain what nomad training is all about. For the last several days, the Sarge and I have been waking up before sunrise in order to make a good impression on Master Darwin. Did I already read this? Seems like I already read this. No, it didn't. Sorry about that. We're right where we should be. When my alarm went off that very next morning, there was a Mistling nomad standing in our burrow, staring at us and waiting. To my credit, I didn't blast her when I saw her standing there. Instead, I very calmly woke the Sarge and told him it was time for training. Joining the Nomads is about more than just a new way of doing things. Okay, so did I say training too many times here? Well, let me turn to Mistling training. It's time to get up. That's better. To my credit, I didn't blast her when I saw her standing there. Instead, I very calmly woke the Sarge and told him it was time to get up. So I think there needs to be a little bit more of like reflection, character stuff. So maybe I didn't want to blast her exactly. Maybe I wanted to scream. That's better. Okay, so let's take this from the top. Let me explain what nomad training is all about. For the last several days, the Sarge and I have been waking up before sunrise in order to make a good impression on Master Darwin. When my alarm went off that very next morning, there was a Mistling nomad standing in our burrow, staring at us and waiting. To my credit, I didn't blast her when I saw her standing there. Maybe I didn't want to blast her exactly. Maybe I wanted to scream. Space mice have been surprising me in my sleep, and I don't think it's funny. Instead, I very calmly woke the Sarge and told him it was time to get up. Joining the Nomads is about more than just a new way of doing things or learning a special set of skills. Before anything else, the Sarge and I were brought down to the garden caverns to pick our own breakfast. In the kitchens of a private hall, just for Nomad trainees, the Sarge and I helped prepare our meal. Sitting with the rest of the Nomads in Sanctuary, we ate boiled grains, vegetables, and seeds. If you can imagine the most boring, frustrating, healthy food a mouse could ever eat, then you have a pretty good idea of what we were eating at that little wooden table in the apprentice dining hall. Why do they do this to you? According to the Mistling in charge of the kitchens, it's so your mind is clear and your body is quick. Eating foods that help you concentrate, that keep your body in a state of readiness, and that keep a person humble is part of the Nomad way. What I'm saying is I was getting pretty frustrated before the training even started. Let's have a little sip. I'm a little slow this afternoon. I was on the picket lines this morning, and as you can see, I got a little sunburned. I took a nap. I've got a lot of work to do tonight. So if I'm a little groggy, I'm just going to beg your pardon and move forward with the stream. I think we're still going to have a good time. Once we survived breakfast, the Sarge and I were separated, and I was taken to a private citrine training room. A private citrine training chamber. Inside, there was a big crystal about twice the size of a mistling, which in hindsight might not have been so big for a human-sized person, but it was still pretty big to me at the time. Imagine a geode made of frosty green crystal, if someone scraped off all the rock. Now that I think of it, that's probably exactly what it was. Putting a hand on my shoulder, the nomad who led me here, okay, here we go. Give me 1 sec. I'm seeing changes. Putting a hand on my shoulder, the nomad who led me in here flickered me straight into that tiny little geode. From the inside out, the edges were too bumpy and uncomfortable to sit down. No matter how much I banged on the wall, nobody let me out. Eventually, all I could do was sit down on the spiky crystal floor and try my best not to panic. Sound wasn't coming through the crystal at all, and the crystal was so foggy that all I could see was the light from the citrine in the chamber around me. What I'm saying is I had no idea if I was alone or not. I had my data deck, I had my tools. If I made a sound along the right frequency, I knew I could shatter that crystal, or at least I could crack it open. Just as soon as I started cranking up the volume on my little experiment, the mistling who was training me flickered me right back out into the free air again. Apparently, I failed the test. Apparently, I was supposed to sit in my crystal and meditate on the universe until I just happened to figure out that I was both inside and outside the crystal at the same time. Remember when I told you about the kid named Gnome with the glowing eyes and how I'd never be a Psy Ranger? Maybe if someone had explained the assignment to me in advance, things would have gone differently. Maybe not. Probably not. Anyway, I failed out of Nomad training on the very first day. After I tried to blow up their crystal with data deck parts, they were just about done with me. We're going to delete all of that and just skip to the next sentence. Anyway, I failed out of Nomad training on the very first day. After I tried to blow up their crystal with data deck parts, the Nomad in charge of keeping me out of trouble brought me into the Sarge's little chamber. Unlike me, he was still stuck inside his crystal. Nomad trainers were keeping a constant eye on him, making sure he had enough air to stay alive in there. Maybe they were watching. Maybe they were just watching to make sure he wasn't building a drill out of jumpsuit parts or something. I don't know. According to the nomads, the Sarge was pretty much doing what he was supposed to be doing. Inside the crystal, he was quieting his mind and trying to figure out how flickering actually works. Maybe it was his Xenocore training, or maybe it was because of the time we'd spent getting to know Scrap. Of all the time we'd spent getting to know Scrap. But if anyone was going to pass this test, that person was the Sarge. Turning to my nomad teacher, I asked how long it usually takes for an apprentice to get the hang of this exercise. It depends. Of course it depends. I'm asking on average. How long on average? Most of our apprentices quit before they master this exercise. We start an apprentice's training by seeing if they can flicker, because if they can't do this, we have no need to teach them anything else. How long does it take when they actually pass the test? we're going to put breathing deep. So we have no need to teach them anything else. Breathing deep, I struggle to find my center. How long does it take when they actually pass the test? It's not a test, it's an exercise. Okay, but how long does it take? It depends. I know it depends. At this point, I had to take a deep breath. Okay. What's the shortest amount of time you've ever seen someone need to pass this exercise? Yes, thank you. I was going to say test. I stopped myself. My translator took a moment to make sense of my broken speech. Taking another moment. We don't need the translator thing. I thought that was going to be cute. Taking another moment, the Mistling considered my question with infuriating patience. I would say a little less than 10 years. 10 years? You did not just tell me you were going to have the Sarge sitting in this crystal for 10 years, waiting for him to find a hole in space or something so he can get back out again. Let him out of there. You get his ass right the hell out of there right this minute. You get his ass right out of there right this minute. This, my friends, is how your girl Wrench failed nomad training on behalf of the entire human race. Here's what you need to understand about this situation, okay? Your average Mistling is going to live to be about 200 years old. What's more, Mistlings are never in a rush. Not about anything. You understand me? Mistlings do not sweat time the way human beings sweat time. You already know I was spitting fire at those space mice. It wasn't long before I got them to bank the Sarge out of that crystal, and it wasn't long after that before Scrap was standing in front of me, trying to figure out how to express their shame and disappointment through a slowly shrinking but still confusing and often hilarious language barrier. If I call his exact response, their exact response, was something along the lines of, "You have made me sad." Really, I made you sad. You tried to stick the Sarge in a crystal for 10 years, you cheddar-eating rascal. The Sarge would have aged out of the Rangers a year before the test was even done. No, our best students could do this assignment in 10 years, but you are not in touch with your spirit. Your diet is terrible, for one thing. It would have taken you much longer. Much as I would love to explain to these walking rodents just how much I hate their beans and vegetables, and just how wrong they are for underestimating the Sarge, the fact remains that we do not have 10 years to sit around literally staring at our belly buttons while Saurian miners chew the earth to pieces, and Admiral Paxis tries his best to get everyone killed just so he can say he tried. Listen up, space mice. Having the human race around is good for you, okay? Every one of us is part of a larger ecosystem. Right now, the Saurian horde is too busy trying to exterminate us to ever bother digging through their motherships in search for you. Human beings are the shield that keeps you safe. If we all get dead because some earthling admiral warlord thinks he's amazing enough to beat the Saurians in a real fight, then you're next. Right now, that very same man is figuring out how to get that very same fight started up and going. If you have a way to cancel this war, and to make our homeworld harder for them to destroy in the process, then we can keep being a distraction and a nuisance to the Saurian horde so your fellow Mistlings can keep complaining about how nomads ruin their lives from the peace and safety of their very adorable colonies. Frowning, the Sarge was staring me down harder and harder with every word I spoke. You shouldn't call them space mice and you shouldn't call them adorable. Both of these things are true. Also, you just said it's okay to use the colonies as a human shield. Why do you think they live so close to us, Sarge? We make all the noise. We take up all the space. No exterminators are out there looking for Mistling colonies when there are human colonies to worry about. The Mistlings are already using us. I'm just saying that it stops working if we all get killed and Admiral Paxis gets his war. Which is what will happen. Which is what will happen if Admiral Paxis gets his war. Stepping up beside Scrap, Darwin puts a hand on the shoulder of his fellow master. She's right. Of course she's right. This is exactly what I've been telling you from the start. Wait, you were talking about using us as a human shield from the start? I think you should help them, Master Darwin says to Scrap. I think I should too. Then it's decided. I'll help you, says Scrap. Great, thank you. But I'm still very sad that you didn't take your nomad training more respectfully. Master Scrap, listen. Major? What is it, Sarge? I think you should let me talk to them. I've got this. I'm being myself. You said I should be myself. Now is the time when I think you should stop. And that, my friends, is how we got the Nomads to help save planet Earth. This now is the time when I think you should stop, is what the Sarge told me. I'm gonna go back and touch up that one little bit that I was hung up on that I didn't quite like. So, going back to when Wrench is getting frustrated with the Missling trainer, right? I think that there needed to be how long does it actually take when they how long does it take when they actually pass the test? Most of our apprentices quit before they master this exercise. We start an apprentice's training by seeing if they can flicker, because if they can't do this, we have no need to teach them anything else. If I was a more centered person, this would have been an easier conversation for me to have. Maybe it wouldn't have felt like this Mistling was specifically trying to get on my nerves. If I was a centered person, if I was a calm person, centered, I am not a centered person. I'm a person who wants violence just because someone woke me up the wrong way. I'm a person who chooses violence. No, I'm a person who uh not craves, but like tends toward. You know what I mean? Tends toward violence. So, thesaurus. Let's just look up tens. We're on dictionary right now. Hang on one sec. Well, trends. We're giving us the noun. We want the verb. Leans. Be disposed. I like that. I am a person inclined towards just because somebody wakes me up the wrong way. I'm not a centered person. I am myself. If okay, So of course it depends. I'm asking on average. How long on average? Most of our apprentices quit before they mastered this exercise. We start an apprentice training by seeing if they can flicker, because if they can't do this, we have no need to teach them anything else. If I was a centered person, maybe it wouldn't have felt like this thing was specifically trying to get on my nerves. I myself am not a centered person. I'm a person inclined towards violence just because somebody wakes me up the wrong way. How long does it take when they actually pass the test? It's not a test, it's an exercise. Yeah, I like that. Okay, so we're done here. This is a fun chapter. I like it. I'm pleased. So we're gonna go ahead and save this. It's so here's the deal with the streaming. If anybody's not paying attention, we have some streams to talk about. We have um, on Tuesdays at 5 p.m. we have Ranger Stories, which is me reading and discussing the books and editing and things. On Thursday, we have a writing session on the tabletop role playing game. Right now, we're doing a mission, a one shot mission um, called Dark Matter, and we write things to release through the Patreon, and that's fun. It's good. 5 o'clock Pacific time here on Twitch, right? And Saturdays at 1:30 p.m. on Twitch we have Metagame, which is an actual play stream that I'm running with Federico, who is the concept artist and art director of Jump Rangers, and my wife Ippy Looney, who is a voice actor. And it's people who are working on the game, involved in the game, playing the game. Um, and it's actually been a really fun session. I'm very pleased with how it's gone. And I think if you want to catch up on metagame streams, you should go to the youtube.com/at Jump Rangers and see all that. That's it. Thank you for watching. I have tomorrow morning tomorrow's Wednesday. So Monday, Tuesday, and Thursday typically at 10 a.m. Pacific. I do a Star Citizen stream, and on Friday at 10 a.m. I do a screenwriting kind of development meeting type stream, screenwriting troubleshooting stream, where I break down concepts into structures. And that's on YouTube too. It's at youtube.com/at Tennyson E Stead, just like it says there. That's it. Thank you for watching. I'll see you guys later, and go high and go far, Rangers.